Life's Challenges. Inspirational Stories. This is the story of a boy who wanted to become a successful person in his life. What did his grandfather teach him? Let's find out. Once upon a time, there was a boy around 10 to 12 years old who lived with his parents in a village. After many years, the boy visited his grandfather's village, and there he spent all his time playing with his grandfather. One day while playing, he said to his grandfather, "Grandpa, when I grow up, I will become very successful. Can you tell me some ways to become successful?" His grandfather smiled at him and said, "Yes." He took the boy to a plant shop, where small plants were sold, and from there, his grandfather bought 2 small plants and returned home. After coming home, he planted one of the plants in a large pot and placed it inside the house. He planted the other plant outside the house. Then he asked his grandson, "What do you think? Which plant will grow better in the future?" The boy thought for a moment and said to his grandfather that the plant they planted inside the house would grow better, because it would be safe inside the house from every problem. And the plant they planted outside would face many threats, such as harsh sunlight, storms, heavy rain, and even animals. To be continued. His grandfather smiled and said to him, "Let's see what happens to these 2 plants in the future." 4 years later, the boy returned to his grandfather's house. After seeing his grandfather, he asked him again, "Grandpa, last time I asked you how to be successful in life, but you didn't tell me anything. Now you must tell me." His grandfather smiled and said, "Sure. But first, let's look at the 2 plants we planted a few years ago." Saying this, his grandfather took him to the place where they had planted the indoor plant. They saw that it had grown into a large plant. Then they went to the place where they had planted the other plant outside. They saw that the small plant had grown into a very large and massive tree, with strong and long branches. Its shadow covered the entire field. His grandfather then looked at him and asked, "Now tell me, which plant has grown bigger and stronger?" The boy replied, "The plant we planted outside." But he added, "Grandpa, how is this possible? This plant must have faced many dangerous situations and many problems. How did it become such a big tree?" His grandfather looked at him and said, "You are right. The plant we planted outside must have faced many problems, and by fighting through them, it was able to grow so big and strong. Now it can extend its branches as much as it wants. And the challenges like storms and heavy rains make its branches even stronger. That's why it has become such a massive tree today. Now, all these problems seem small in front of it." Then his grandfather looked at him and said, "Son, always remember one thing, until you struggle in your life, until you go through difficulties, you won't be able to achieve success in your life. If you always choose the comfortable path in life, you won't progress as much as you can. But if you are ready for every problem and always prepared for struggle, then no goal will be impossible for you. And the big problems will start to seem small to you." Hearing this, the boy took a deep breath and looked at the massive tree, with his grandfather's words echoing in his mind. Friends, we often think of problems, obstacles, and difficulties as our enemies in life. But these very obstacles and difficulties make us strong and lead us to greater success in life.